Hey, everybody. Today, here on the Vendor's Edge podcast, we have Jillian Childs. She is the founder of Florida Farm Finder. She's also an author, and really, she's got her hands in a lot of amazing stuff with connecting farms to local communities all throughout Florida. Her online page and community, excuse me, the Florida Farm Finder is the largest farm community group in the state of Florida. It is an amazing asset to connect communities looking to get back to their local meats, fruits, vegetables, honey, anything that's grown here in Florida. You can find a producer of it here on the Florida Farm Finder site. So, with that, we have Jillian. Um, just kind of tell us your background. What kinda got you into Florida farms, the ag business, kinda your love and passion for local foods?
Sure. I'm Jillian. I founded Florida Farm Finder in 2020. Prior to that, I grew up in the state of New York, upstate New York. So my childhood was filled with U-Picks and farm tours and lots of local agriculture. My family raised our own chickens. We raised our own pigs. We did all of that when I was young, right up until the age of 10. And then I moved to Palm Beach County in Florida and spent my formative years there. More beach rat than agriculture, definitely. But after that point, I did my military service, started a retail operations career, and then moved to Polk County in 2013 and was a little bit surprised that there wasn't a lot of direct production food available because it's Polk County. You hear about it all the time. There's agriculture everywhere, but access to those crops was a little bit difficult, and I was a little bit surprised. And so I jumped right into the homesteading community at that time. Joined a former nonprofit in the area, joined their group called Florida Urban Homesteaders, and spent 4 or 5 years building that community and connecting with a lot of the original members of Farm Finder, learning what's out there, learning more about the ability that I was amazed that you could still go out and buy a half a cow direct from a rancher in a state that is built primarily on convenience. So it was super exciting to jump into that. And then as that community grew and developed, I started thinking of other things because I have a knack for connecting people with the right page. Somebody says they want, hey, I want oranges and I live in this county. Where can I go? And I've got a list in my brain somewhere. And I love connecting people with those resources. And I was shocked at the level of disconnect that was experienced during the earliest days of the pandemic shutdowns in 2020. Just absolutely shocked that there was no ability to recoup some of the incredible losses with all the product being tilled under because it happened right in the middle of our March spring harvest, huge season for most of South and Central Florida. And I was just shocked that there was 2 images that I kept seeing as I kept scrolling through social media. One, the pictures of the farmers tilling their crops and the news articles associated with that. And 2, just under that, you would see a picture of a food bank with lines miles and miles long. And it struck me that we needed more of a go between those communities because a lot of people tell me, "Oh, well, I need to know a guy. I need to be in their circles. I can't access that farm direct food because I have no step into that community." And I wanted to make sure in the early days of the shutdowns, as the farmers started to, get their feet back under them and get transportation started, you started to see produce boxes and produce stands popping up everywhere. So originally, the group was just to tell my friends and family about where they could go to access those amazing deals because there was a lot of cheap veggies at the time and everybody was doing it. So I started just in Polk County and we created a little Facebook group and I said, "Hey, here's all the stands in the area. Here's all the produce. Here's all the direct product you can get. Check them out." And then, of course, somebody said, "Well, what about Osceola County? What about Hillsborough? What
Cool.
about North, South? Where else can I go?" And I was like, "Okay, let's spread it out a little more and see what else is out there." So I started searching Facebook, just generally using keyword searches on Facebook for a specific product or the word farm or whatever county that I was looking in. And I would find those pages, make sure they were active and selling product, and share their content into the group. So it did two things. It brought other people who were involved in those areas into the group, and it also brought the farmers and producers into the group because they would get the notification for the tag. And slowly but surely, I think the first year and a half, probably 2 years, I did all of the posting. I did all of the conversation. I maintained everything from top to bottom on the group. And then at some point, the farmers kind of kicked in themselves and were like, "Oh, hey, we can share our content in here." And she has a decent audience. I think at that point we had maybe 10 or 15,000 people in our first couple years. And then once the farmers started participating and posting, we exploded. For a long time, we were averaging about 1,000 members a month. And here we are. It'll be 5 years in May, and we are right there at 100,000 members. So
Yep.
it's
You're,
huge. We are
you're
the
big.
largest, most effective group in Florida.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch the growth. I know you kind of came onto my radar during the COVID,
Hmm.
with us with the challenges of starting up the Panama City Farmers Market. And,
Hmm.
during that time, like you had said, there were a lot of hurdles where
Hmm.
the distancing, can we do business? But it left a lot of stuff in flux, especially for our farmers and producers,
Hmm.
because that's their lifeline, being able to connect to their communities. I would say the majority or a strong half of Florida isn't wholesale in the sense of they got contracts going out to distributors to get their stuff out. So they're relying on those local sales to make ends meet. Their moms, dads, uncles, grandpas that are that's their livelihood. So when you have something like COVID just really throw not only a roadblock, but just decimates the road that they were on for
Yeah.
surviving. What you did and how just watching it blossom real time has been, um, just it's awesome. It really is. So, with the Florida Farm Finder, you know, there there's a lot of groups throughout Florida, like, I would say area specific groups, kinda
Hmm.
like the Red Hills Alliance, different I would call them like hybrid CSAs or hybrid stands. They're along the traditional CSAs, but kind of their mode of getting product out is a little different. So I
Hmm.
it's a hybrid for the times, but what were some of the roadblocks or some of the struggles with when you realized, "All right, this is now growing beyond my friends and family for a group." What the catalyst was people saying, "Hey, what about us?" But when you said, "All right, check, I got it."
Right.
That's easy to say, "Hey, I got this," but,
Hmm.
there are definitely roadblocks. There's struggles and there's a lot of pain with growth and being able to adjust to them and overcome them. What were some of those for you?
Sure. So we are the whole social media marketing campaign of a farmer's market, and then add in 100,000 people who probably have very little experience with buying farm direct or even buying from a farmer's market. We have tons of members who have not even considered buying a piece of beef direct from a rancher. That's never been an option for them. They've grown up with Publix 5 minutes away, and like I said, the state is very focused on its convenience and one-stop shopping is a huge deal. It's not always easy to convince those people to make the drive, to go out 30 minutes to pick up your order or to budget for a large purchase, because the best way to save when you buy farm direct is to buy in bulk. So it changes your shopping method, which is huge and can disrupt, spending and budgeting and all sorts of stuff. So that's new and unique and sometimes hard to explain or identify the benefits, because not all of the benefits of buying farm direct are tangible. A lot of it has to do with, knowing where your product is coming from, knowing what it ate, answering the questions you have about it, or customizing your food's diet. So that is definitely a big struggle. Educating people about the opportunities available has always been a very important part to me. Making sure that we are welcoming in our community. I always say, hey, maybe hold off on the country versus city jokes, because if Florida spreads out anymore, we're all going to be city.
Yeah.
And you're going to offend your customer base accidentally. So consider this new concept of customer, as farmers would expand into selling their products to these people. So a little bit of pushback there as well. I even had a farmer. I reached out to him, sent a message to his Facebook page, and he was like, "Absolutely not. I am not interested in participating in your group." And I was like, "Really? I'm so sorry to hear that. Can you help me understand why?" And he was like, "Well, I don't want 7 maybe customers when I could just have one definite customer from down the street." And I was like, "You know what? I get it. Absolutely." It's hard to put yourself out there, especially when you are a one-man operation and all you do is move cows, or all you do is pick produce, or all you do is sit on the tractor. You don't have time for the marketing. You don't want to waste time with people who may waste your time. So I can see that. That was definitely one of the more interesting conversations I had in the beginning. And then, of course, all of the fun that comes along with a major social media community. We have scammers, we have people trying to access the group that are trying to share product that we're not interested in helping them sell, and community members who are a little bit more vocal than they need to be on topics that are not relative to our goods. So, it's fun. It's such a welcoming community. We really try to encourage people to talk about the food and talk about their experiences and highlight some of the best points of creating that farm direct consumer relationship to benefit and encourage and strengthen our small producers, because they don't have access to the same um, operation security as the larger growers do. When you're an animal producer, you can barely find insurance for your home, much less your crops here. There's a lot of pathways that they have to navigate to sell direct product in Florida. We have a huge lack of meat processors. It's not easy. It's not easy to sell a farm direct product in Florida. So that's why many choose to go that route and sell to grocery stores and get into Publix and fill out the vendor packet that's this thick, and make that route. But we are trying to convince some of those farmers to come back and say, hey, these are your community members. They want to buy from you. How can we facilitate that conversation? So that has
Absolutely.
been the most unique steps forward in building the community. And now it's just dealing with the social media.
Yep. So, in the farmer's market world, I when they say, "What's your job description?" and it's
Mhm.
herding cats. It's
Yes.
definitely the art of herding cats, and I would say times 10 watching you navigate on these groups and keeping the ship righted and going in the direction that it should be going. It's been a remarkable uh, thing to watch real time. Uh, with your Florida Farm Finder, I'm sure you've nurtured along the way some partnerships that have really probably helped you out a lot behind the scenes, and probably gotten more involved in the ag community, or ag organizations that got more involved due to your group and your involvement. Are there any of those that kind of stand out to you?
Oh man, I have made so many amazing friends on this journey. Um, I have met, I will tell you, people who sell their own goods are some of the most genuine, direct, and straightforward and loyal people that you will ever meet in your entire
Salt,
life.
salt of the
It's
earth.
incredible. It's incredible. And some of the connections, even from just the little farm with the honor stand or the head of a major grant organization. I've made connections in the gleaning industry with Society of St. Andrew. I've got some great friends there. Just a lot of people who are interested in seeing what we do and getting connected to our community, but knowing that I can then reach out to them for resources. We've been friends, what, at least 4 years now, I think,
Yep.
and you've been a huge supporter of us since day one. And just there are so many people out there who are just like you who reach out and say, "Hey, Jillian, I love what you're doing. How can I help? Or how can you help me? How can we make this work for everyone?" And I've been incredibly blessed by the number. I love scrolling through my phone and looking at my Rolodex and just saying, who can I reach out to for this opportunity? Or somebody gives me an idea for something. I know just who you need to call for that, and it's so great. It makes me feel so good.
No, that's awesome. Speaking of partnerships, I know we were kind of talking before, and you
Mhm,
had mentioned the Florida Organics Growers organization here in Florida. I know you work
mhm.
closely with them, and they work closely with farms throughout Florida. But what do you got coming on here soon or over the horizon with these uh, folks that folks may be
Sure.
knowing?
So I was invited to become a part of the Florida Local Food Project, which is sponsored by Florida or hosted by Florida Organic Growers last year, and attended a couple of their events, many of which are on farms or hosted by ag operations and ag businesses. And I got to see what they do and how dedicated they are to doing something very similar to what we're doing. They're connecting professionals behind the scenes and bringing those aspects of the community together. If you're not familiar with their work, the Florida Farmers Market Association is part of their efforts. They have a couple of grant programs tied to that. The backyard market is also one of their things. But coming up, we are going to be doing a networking event at the Orlando Valencia College facility. And it's going to be like a speed dating, ag community networking. And then we're going to do some panel discussions afterward. About a couple of different topics, and I will be speaking about developing and building your local community, getting connected to your local resources, and how you can access farm direct food, as that has definitely become my strength here recently. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then there are a couple of events, I think one in August in Tallahassee that we're looking forward to. I can provide you some more details about the schedule there too, because as I go north, I would love to see if maybe you can come south and we can meet up. That'd be great.
No, absolutely. So I'll get all that info from you, and for everybody listening and watching on YouTube, we'll put all that info for the dates of when these are coming up in the description because it's definitely the more folks that get involved, um, the better it is for everybody. Not only that organization getting feedback from folks on ground level, but
Hmm.
it just helps the overall community across Florida and it I think some of these organizations like the Florida Organic Growers being a part of the Florida Farmers Market Association, and that's where I've had dealings with them. When I first got into farmers market, it was kind of just, a very non-active organization, and it's
Hmm.
been a breath of fresh air to see it starting to become active and really be an advocate, where I think a lot of folks, would expect an organization like that to be. So, and seeing that you're involved with it and seeing other folks, across the state really getting involved is truly special, and it's going to benefit our state, especially with some of the struggles we're having in a state,
Hmm.
especially like our citrus crop with the greening and some of the other problems we're facing. It's definitely a battle here, and us looking at other crops because our weather and our environment is good for a lot of other crops besides kind of our historic basic crops. And it's just kind of finding the right match and the right markets to be able to sustain and support it.
Mhm.
But a lot of folks might know about you, Jillian, is you're an author, which is
I am.
pretty exciting. Um,
Yes.
if anybody didn't know, she's got this children's book, um,
It
Florida is
looks so
for
good.
Food. It is a really awesome book that is perfect. Me and my kids, we sit down and read it. But tell us about what kind of got you going in the author direction and the catalyst for the children's book.
Sure. So last year, after building up the community, I made a goal in January that I was going to do a couple of different things. I wanted to double our audience, which we just about did. We've increased the group twofold in the last 12 months. And I wanted to figure out some additional income streams for Farm Finder because as much as I love my day job, I would much rather do Farm Finder full time if I could.
100%.
So, made a whole bunch of connections that way and looked into, building my own podcast or building some sort of outside revenue stream. And a friend was like, you could just write a book. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that's crazy talk. I could never go through that process. And I have friends who have dabbled in publishing previously, and just nightmare stories. And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, yeah, but it's so much easier now that you can just self-publish. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought. So I kind of put that on the backside. And then my son is 5. He just turned 5, and my youngest son is 5, and he is autistic. So he loves bright colors, he loves the alphabet, he loves patterns. And we were going through some alphabet books, and we found one that it was just regular vegetables. I think it was vegetable related. And it was cute, but it was kind of basic. And I was like, okay, this is neat. I would like to see what I could do to bring more Florida crops into it. And not just the basics. I made sure while writing the book that there was anecdotal information, Florida specific crop info. So it's not just A is for apple kind of a deal. It's A is for avocado, B is for blueberries, stuff that really needs to be highlighted in our industries. And then I got the amazing idea to reach out to some of the producers who grow those crops and sell them in our group and see if they would be interested in being featured in the book. And a lot of them were thrilled and were emailing me logos immediately. Yes, sign us up, let's do this. So we created a page. You just showed it at the back of the book, where once you're done reading about all the crops and learning about their different harvesting seasons and everything that you can glean from the book, at the end you can scan the QR code. It'll bring you to my website, and then you have a directory of all of the farmers. There you go, you can see some of the logos there, and you can access more information about those crops. So, right now we are just at the very, 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 very tip of blueberry season. But if we were, back in August at the end of it, you'd still be able to access that information. You'd be able to follow those pages and learn more straight from the growers, get real, actual information about these crops straight from the growers. And that was super important to me. And then I started asking some of my market friends and farm stands and saying, "Hey, do you want to host my book in your stores?" And people have been really thrilled about it. So I'm featured in I think 6 or 7 markets now, and I've got a couple people who are looking to place some more orders for bulk orders for books this spring. So it's been really exciting and everybody's been really happy. I've gotten some great feedback. My Amazon reviews are stellar. So and the best part about the book is, yes, you can sit with a very young child and read the book to them, and they will still enjoy it because it is an ABC children's book. But a middle schooler would get valuable information out of it. They would not be bored to tears by page 3. And even older kids really could honestly learn a lot from it because there's a lot of info direct from the farmers that I spoke with about their crops. So
Yeah.
it's awesome for kids of all ages, and that was really important.
Yeah, it was really neat. That was one of the first things I picked up on in the book when I first got it was the the logos on the pages for the farms that correlated with the crops that were on there. And it gave you in a very easy to digest way more information about the particular fruit or vegetable or honey than this is honey, bees make it, and you can get it at your local store. It was really a
Exactly.
way to garner, a little bit of interest in our fruits, vegetables, and stuff that we have in our state. So the book was awesome, and I'll tell you, we'll be adding them to our markets here soon. And
Thank
what
you.
do you guys got, or what do you got going on? Are there any more books in the future? You got any other projects like that you're working on?
Yeah, I am trying to find a kid-friendly way to introduce them to farm direct proteins.
Um,
That's going to be a little bit of a navigational issue. So while we work on softening but being real about how food gets to your plate, the first book was definitely to inspire kids to learn more about Florida farming and Florida agriculture. The second book, I think, is going to be more to show them the realities of food being put on their plate and the care and quality that is still out there to help restore the faith people have in humane animal consumption. So, putting that in a kid friendly package is going to be interesting, but that is my next project book wise, I think.
I think you'll knock it out of the park. I tell you, when it comes to protein, particularly steak, I can't keep enough of it in this house for my kids. They are
There you go.
the little gremlins. Daddy doesn't get to eat steaks here in this house because my kids do.
They're all gone. Mine are the same way.
But speaking of protein, you got a really awesome event coming up here in March, and
Mhm.
the Meet Florida Meets. A lot of folks maybe don't know about this event, so let us know what Meet Florida Meets is and kind of what was the genesis behind that and where you see it going forward.
Sure. So, as we built out our group and we started to reach 40, 50,000 people, um, everybody kept asking, are you going to host a market? Are you going to host an event where everybody could come hang out and get to know each other and, relate in person, speak in person, that kind of a thing? And I was like, that sounds like a really good idea. I'm sure we could do something like that in the future. And I just kind of put it in my back pocket for a little while. And then a farm reached out in Orlando to see if we would be interested in hosting a market on their property. And I said, you know what? If I can find 30 to 40 interested farmers who are interested in creating a market of farmers rather than a farmer's market, because um, Florida has definitely strayed away from the farmer part of farmers markets. There's a lot of boutique style markets out there now, and people are constantly, or they still were at that time, constantly complaining that there was no availability for farm direct product at their farmers markets. And I was like, you know what? We could probably do something like that. And that was in 2021. And we hosted 35 vendors in Groveland, and it was a one-day event at that time, and most of our vendors sold out. We had a huge audience. We filled up their entire pasture with cars. It was crazy. It was such a great day. Everybody was really thrilled to come out and interact and see all these different producers coming out and sharing their product and selling their goods direct, right? Put it right in your cooler, put it in your car, take it home. It was perfect. And then after that year, the success of that year, Great Scott Farms, formerly Long and Scott Farms in Mount Dora, reached out to see if we would be interested in having them host. And that has become a really excellent partnership, as they have been focusing a lot more on their agritourism. They are a full production vegetable farm that dates back to the 1960s. They are famous for their Zellwood sweet corn, but they also really wanted to dig more into agritourism and build up that part of their business over the last couple of years. And they were very excited to bring us on. They have always been a really big supporter of Florida Farm Finder, even from our days when we were 5,000 people. And I said, "Sure, let's bring it out to, to Great Scott now." And the best part about it is we still have the market with now I think 60 to 70 vendors, all farm direct, proteins, produce, everything that you can possibly think of that you can get farm direct. And then we also have the opportunity where people can come out and enjoy a day on their farm. It's a kid-friendly event, so you don't have to be afraid of bringing the kids and dragging them around a market. There's, tons of stuff to do: zip line, super slide, jumping pillow. You get all of the amenities of a great day on the farm. Plus, you also get to access our amazing community and make your purchases. And this year, we are going to be hosting it at the end of March. So, March 22nd and 23rd. If you are looking for a great way to invest your tax return, or you have been pinching your pennies while watching some of the most recent economic shifts, definitely a great time to learn more about how you can invest in your neighbors and fill your freezer at the same time. So you can buy a little bit, you can buy a lot, you can just try before you buy, or you can just walk around with a clipboard and do research if you're not ready to make a huge purchase. But we're going to have several beef vendors, a couple pork people. I'm going to have fresh poultry, quail, all sorts of proteins, anything you can think of. I'm trying my hardest to convince a gator producer to come out this year. That is my goal. We're also looking to bring in more wild meat and game producers, or preserves.
Yep.
So we're trying to make those connections this year to round out the mix. Plus, we've got a bunch of ag support organizations that you might be familiar with, or some new ones, who are also interested in getting in front of our audience and our community. And I still have some pretty amazing vendor spots and non-sales spots available. So if anybody's interested in becoming part of the mix, reach out to me. You can email me at flfarmfinder.com, or I'm sorry, flfarmfinder@gmail.com, or just check out my website. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with me there as well. You can learn more about the event. And if you're coming, you can RSVP to our Facebook page for the event. That is the best way to get all of the up to date information and vendor lists so you can start preparing your budget and your grocery list for the event. It's going to be great. This is our fourth year, bigger than ever. Tons of great feedback from last year, and we're really pushing the market aspect of it with diversity and trying to bring more and different types of vendors in.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch it grow and seeing the lineup, and it really is. I'll tell you from a farmer's market perspective, it's hard to get a lot of farmers into a farmer's market, and you would think it wouldn't be. I'll tell you some of our
Mm,
challenges from here in the Florida Panhandle is here in Panama City, we are really off the beaten path from, a true ag area or an ag center. You got to go more up towards the I-10 corridor. That's where
mhm,
it kind of starts up there in the Chipleys, Mariana, Bonifay over the Tampa area, and then over towards Pensacola. So, one, you're dealing with, is it worth the travel to get to a farmer's market? Because a lot of those towns are small, so it's easier for them to have a farm store and people travel to them and not put out that cost to get to a place. But um, for us, it takes time, it takes commitment, and it takes faith that that farmer's market is going to grow and bring in
mhm,
the foot traffic, and the community is going to buy in and support them to make it worth their while. And I think there's a lot of that throughout the entire state, not only the state but across the country too. Because once you have that farm store, it's when those farmers and ranchers, they're out there working. It's hard to carve out a little bit of time on a Saturday or a Sunday when they could be productive and making money on their farm. So, what you've done with Meat Florida Meats is just, it's very unique in Florida, but it's an amazing thing because folks are able, a lot of the farms that go there are from different areas throughout the state that are making a little bit of travel. So it isn't, well, if I buy here, I'm not going to be able to get their meats or their products, and if unless I live right here. A lot of these vendors are from a cross section of Florida, so you're going to be able to find somebody that's either in your area, and if you're not, but you like the local meat, you
mhm.
can reach back through the group, Florida Farm Finder, and we get questions on there every day. I know you do. I see them on there. Where's a local farmer in my area? I want meat. I want strawberries. I want avocados. And, honestly,
Eggs right now.
eggs, yeah. And, really, they're all around us. It's just a matter of pointing folks in the right direction of where to go. And
Mhm.
it's you're like a human Rolodex. Like, it
That's
doesn't,
not the first time.
yeah, it's, somebody comes on there like, I want local, buy me, and the first I always chuckle because there's no amplifying information like what city, what county, and where you are.
Mhm.
So once those kind of get through, I mean, you're just bing this person, hey, look at these couple folks, or go here and it's yeah, it's awesome. And to be able to do these markets with you doing the Meet Florida meets, it's just another way for folks to be able to connect local. So no, it's really
Mhm.
awesome.
And we do advertise as a protein-focused event, primarily because that's not an opportunity that you come across a lot in Florida. You get pig fest and barbecue festivals and that sort of thing, but you really don't get the opportunity to stock your freezer
Yep.
or even learn about how to do that. So it's been such a um, educational experience learning about what the customer needs to know to begin that process, which is also helpful for the farmers who are selling those goods who maybe aren't, they're used to selling to friends and family only. They haven't dabbled with public production. So it's been a huge opportunity for everyone, honestly.
No, it's awesome. So I guess we'll kind of get ready to land the plane here. So if folks want to stay connected to you, um, where can they find you?
Everywhere. If I'm on social media and you search Florida Farm Finder, you will find me. I have a website with a ton of resources. It is right now in the midst of strawberry season. So, one of my pet projects has been to build a list of U picks by county. So if you are in any one of the 26 Florida counties that offers strawberry picking in your area and you're interested in finding some good berries, they are amazing this year. All the cold has been really helpful in creating a really sweet, productive crop. So check out the Farm Finder website for that. There's tons of information about events. If you are interested in learning more about purchasing farm direct food with EBT or SNAP funds, there's a ton of information there. Also, if you are a farmer or a small producer looking to access that, I have a whole dedicated spot just for that. From thankfully from some of my friends at the Florida Organic Growers Conference, that was an amazing resource. But also our directory, people who have supported us. We've got a whole bunch of recommendations that we can help you make, partners that we have worked with over the last couple of years, people that I buy their products and I want you to too. Um, and just tons of information on the website. But honestly, the Facebook group is where the magic happens, is what I like to say.
Absolutely.
And that is, that's our community. That is our, everyone chips in to the information provided there. And then my Facebook business page, Florida Farm Finder, you can, most of my stuff there is now educational, some produce, but a lot of that I've switched a little bit more to providing opportunities to learn more about small farming, extension classes and activities, events, and that sort of thing there too. So it's not just food. Big Deal is primarily food, and we're keeping it, especially in 2025, very strongly food focused. So got a
Yep.
bunch of different ways to connect with me. So please do. I love questions. I love emails. I will take the time to respond to everyone if I can.
No, that's awesome. We'll put the link to all your sites down below. If you go to floridafarmfinder.com, amazing information right off the bat. Like you said, Jillian, your strawberry U picks are on there, but you can also find all the information about Instagram, TikTok, Florida ag jobs. There's a wealth of information on that site. So we'll be putting all those down in the description. I highly encourage, if you are a Florida farm, one, do business on a business page if you're on social media, and then
Yes, very
join the Florida Farm Finder through your business page. That way, when you're making your posts, folks can relate those posts back to you and your farm. And then if
much.
you're a consumer out there looking to stay connected to local here in the state of Florida, join the group. There's no better site in the state of Florida. And if the answer isn't there, I promise you it will get there faster than you can blink. It's a truly an amazing group full of amazing people. So I appreciate you, Jillian, jumping on today with us. Hopefully, this is the first of many. We love what you're doing. We love seeing the growth, the, you know, earlier, as you said, the ag community are salt of the earth folks. They are truly
Mhm.
some special people to be involved with. So we're stoked to be a small part of it. We're cheering on the growth and success and everything that you're doing, and we look forward to seeing what you got coming down the road.
Thank you. No, you are much more than a small part of the equation. Thank you so much, Bill. I really appreciate all of your support. And it's been so exciting watching you grow from a little tiny coffee roaster to the entire network that you've got going on. So I am thrilled for you, and I will love to continue to work together in the future. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be your first guest.
Absolutely, and we'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
You too.